Bonjour, welcome to Languages with Debbie, or should I say bienvenue à, welcome to. And in lesson 7 today, we're going to be talking about how to ask somebody their name, how to ask where they live, and also the differences between tu and vous. So let's get into it. Lesson 7. First of all, we're going to look at the use of tu in these questions. So this is person A and this is person B. If you imagine that they're having a little conversation, okay? The blue is the question and the red is the answer, okay? So that'll help you to divide that up a wee bit. Okay, so the first question. Comment t'appelles-tu? Comment t'appelles-tu? What's your name? And we're using tu. And tu is used with a child or with somebody that you know well, and always with one person. If you're speaking to more than one person, if you're speaking to, for example, your two children at the same time, you would use vous, even though they're children. And we use tu with children, and we use tu with a friend or a family member. But if we're being formal and polite, we're going to use vous, and I'll show you that in a minute. Okay, so person B answers, Je m'appelle Debbie, or whatever the name is. Je m'appelle Debbie. Person A. Où habites-tu? Où habites-tu? So they're asking, where do you live? There's a hyphen in there in the written form. Where live you? Where do you live? Person B is going to answer, J'habite en Irlande. J'habite en Irlande. Et toi? So they're saying, I live in Ireland. And you? What about you? So in a question, when you're meaning what about you, we use toi. And then person A. Moi, j'habite en Italie. Tu as visité l'Italie? So person A is saying that they live in Italy. And then they're asking a question back. Have you visited Italy? Let's practice that pronunciation again. Moi, j'habite en Italie. Tu as visité l'Italie? Now that is one way of asking a question. At the end of the lesson, you're going to see a different way of asking this same question. Okay, so wait for that. Person B answers, Oui, j'adore l'Italie. So yes, they have been to Italy, oui. And then they're saying that they love Italy. Again, oui, j'adore l'Italie. So now we're going to come on to using vous with the same questions. Vous. Comment vous appelez-vous? Comment vous appelez-vous? Now, if you're taking any notes, you can compare that with Comment t'appelles-tu, which you might have written down. If you haven't written it down, just think about the sound. Comment t'appelles-tu compared with Comment vous appelez-vous. So what do you call yourself is really what they're asking. But we don't translate things literally when we want to learn our language properly. We translate it into a way that makes sense in our own language. What's your name, or what are you called? Person B. Je m'appelle Debbie et vous. So last time they said et toi. If you're talking to somebody that you don't know well, or if you're being polite and formal, maybe you're talking to the bank manager or your boss at work and you don't have a really close relationship with them, then you use vous. Or when you're speaking to more than one person, you use vous. Person A answers, Je m'appelle Jane. Où habitez-vous? So they've answered the question about their name, and now they're asking, where do you live? Où habitez-vous? Person B, which is Debbie, says, J'habite en France. Vous avez visité la France? Let's try that pronunciation again. J'habite en France. Vous avez visité la France? Now, really that means you have visited France, but when there's a question mark at the end and when you want to make it into a question, you put your voice up at the end and then people know that you're asking a question. Vous avez visité la France? So notice how the sound goes up slightly at the end, okay? But there is another way of asking the question. But if you do it this way, you have to make your voice go up at the end. Right, person A, oui, deux fois. Now we've already covered numbers in lesson 2, so you should know that number, but if not, it's number 2. Oui, deux fois, fois. So it means you've been 2 times. In English we say twice. You can say 2 times or you can say twice. And now let's look at a different way of asking the question. So it's inverted this time. And inverted means that the words are just round a different way. So, as-tu visité l'Italie? So we're using tu here again. Tu. As-tu visité l'Italie? Have you visited Italy? Avez-vous visité l'Italie? Avez-vous visité l'Italie? So that's using vous. All right, and in a future lesson, we're going to talk about verbs. We're going to talk about the different parts of the verbs that you need to learn in French. Okay, but for today, just try and memorize these phrases. And when you invert the word order, then in the written form, it needs a hyphen in it. So I hope you've enjoyed today's lesson, lesson 7, and hopefully I'll see you in lesson 8. Au revoir et bonne chance.